There's just something about the Knives Out movies that instantly feels polished. They don't just look good, they feel confident, stylish, like they know exactly what kind of movie they are and they lean into it hard. And with Wake Up Dead Man, the third entry in the series, I think Rian Johnson may have finally made the version of Knives Out I've been waiting for. Now, the great thing about this franchise is that you don't need homework. You don't need to rewatch the previous films to jump into this one. Each story exists in its own little world. So even though this one lands on Netflix, yes, technically there were a handful of theatrical showings, this is very much a press play and you're in kind of movie. This time around, the story centers on a young priest who arrives at a church led by a powerful magnetic figure, Monsignor Jefferson Wicks. He's charming, commanding, and surrounded by a tight inner circle of devoted followers. Everything feels controlled, until it very suddenly isn't. Because of course, someone winds up dead. Yes, what surprised me right away is how patient this movie is. Benoit Blanc, Daniel Craig's now iconic detective, doesn't even appear for a good chunk of the runtime. And instead of feeling like a mistake, that delay actually works. We're allowed to sit with the suspects, absorb the dynamics, and quietly form opinions before the detective ever enters the room. By the time Blanc arrives, you already feel invested. And when he does arrive, the case he's facing might be the most compelling mystery the series has tackled so far. At the heart of Wake Up, Dead Man is a tightly constructed, impossible crime. A death that occurs in a space with clear sightlines, limited access, and seemingly no opportunity for foul play. The number of viable explanations is small, and that's exactly why it works so well. Earlier Knives Out films sometimes felt like the solution could come from anywhere. Here, the mystery feels focused, constrained, almost mathematical. And for me, that made it far more engaging. What really impressed me is how much this film invites the audience to participate. Instead of watching a genius solve a puzzle we could never crack, wake up. Dead Man constantly makes you feel like you're just one or two pieces away from the answer. You're guessing, reconsidering, connecting dots. That's what I want from a murder mystery, and this movie absolutely delivers. The cast, once again, is stacked. Rian Johnson continues to be one of those directors who can attract talent that clearly wants to be there. Every performance feels intentional, and every character feels suspicious in their own way. The script does a great job of pushing your suspicion from person to person without ever feeling cheap. Visually, this might be the most striking film in the trilogy. The setting, a grand old Catholic cathedral, adds a weight and atmosphere that the previous films didn't have. The religious imagery, the stone architecture, the sense of history, it all reinforces the themes of belief, doubt, and moral authority. It's a hauntingly effective backdrop for a story about secrets and judgment. And interestingly, Benoit Blanc himself feels a bit different here. Yes, he's still brilliant. Yes, he's still eccentric. But there are moments of genuine warmth and humanity that caught me off guard, in the best way. He's described as an atheist navigating a deeply religious environment, and instead of leaning entirely into conflict, the film finds room for empathy. Those quieter moments gave the character more depth than I expected. By the time the mystery reaches its conclusion, the film truly earns the claim that this is Blanc's most difficult case yet. The crime feels impossible, the tension holds, and the solution feels both surprising and fair, which is the hardest balance to strike in this genre. So yeah, Wake Up Dead Man is my favorite Knives Out movie. It's sharper, more focused, more engaging, and more visually interesting than the previous entries. If you've enjoyed the series so far, this is easily the strongest installment. And if the earlier films didn't quite work for you, this one might change your mind. It's clever, tense, funny when it needs to be, and genuinely absorbing as a mystery. Definitely worth your time. And honestly, the kind of movie I'd love to own on Blu-ray if that ever becomes an option. That's my take on Wake Up Dead Man. If you've seen it, I'd love to know what you thought. Where does it rank for you in the Knives Out series? And if you haven't seen it yet, this might be the one to start with. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.